Would you ever work with progressives if the
Contextually, I may. So, like,
okay?
if we're on a desert island and we need to get a boat to get out of there, yeah, I'll definitely work
What
with
if
them.
there were progressives who agreed to reforming the divorce courts?
No,
You wouldn't work with them.
no.
What? I'm assuming you don't care about ranked choice voting, do you?
No, I definitely wouldn't work with them on ranked choice voting either.
Do you like ranked choice voting?
No.
What's a policy that you really support that you think the average person or non-progressive would support? Nuclear power?
The average person would support, but progressives
the average
would not.
progressive, and now I'm not talking about like a super ideological possessed progressive, but your average, like I'm kind of progressive, but barely knows like Karl Marx or any of that shit.
So a little bit more like middle of the road.
Yeah, more middle. What is this a policy that you support that you think many people who are not necessarily right wing would also support?
I think marriage reform would be one.
Marriage reform.
Mm-hmm.
That's different from divorce court reform.
Yes, be marriage reform itself.
What is marriage reform?
Well, there's a lot of different ideas here, but perhaps a small waiting period before you get married.
I agree with that. That's what we do for guns, don't we?
Yeah, a small waiting period before you get married is one thing which has been postulated. It's not the worst idea that I've ever heard. But, regardless of that, you wouldn't just be reforming courts. You'd also be reforming the idea that the state had no control over marriage at all. And that this moved back to an infrastructure of church, which is what marriage was always supposed to be. That would be a position of reform that I think most average people would probably get behind. Now, that said, if they're progressives, which is a different thing,
or Democrats,
me about progressives, I'm not ever going to work with them on anything ever.
Even if
they're
it
fucking
was
evil. You don't work with. Here's the thing, bro. You don't dance with the devil because the devil don't change. The devil changes you, right?
Oh, Andrew, I'm dancing with you right now.
Because I'm not the devil, bro.
You're not.
No, I'm not. Don't
enlightened centrist.
Do not listen. Do not ever work with progressives. Not in a political sense. They are backstabbers. They're evil bastards. What would happen is we would get close to having what we wanted, and they'd be like, "Oh, we just want this one change," which
what
is
if
like
it was
universal health care. Right? No. It's like some shit like that. That's what
very
they
practical
do.
one. Very practical one. Very practical one. Anti-war, anti-U.S. intervention in Israel.
I would support that from a right-wing cause, but would not work with progressive organizations.
Let's say
that cause.
You would not work with. What if you worked through back channels? Like, for example, what if P.F. Jung comes out and forms the anti-U.S. imperialism coalition?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not a progressive.
Correct. I'm not. But I know progressives.
No, I wouldn't work with a progressive organization, even on anti-war policy, even if we agreed, because
100%. What if it was like a single ballot initiative? It was a single vote. All you needed was 51% of people to vote. We're not going to blindly send money to Israel.
That's different. If you're talking about in government, bipartisan positions, which is the only way to get legislation passed at all.
Yes.
Well, then, yeah, that's a different story. But if you're
that's
talking
what I'm referring
about,
to.
Yeah, well, of course, you don't have a choice then.
No, I'm not saying if hypothetically you were in government.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying let's say there's this, I don't know, a state ballot initiative, and it says we're gonna not send money to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna use public funds.
And I'm in the government.
No, you're just you, Andrew Wilson, in the state.
Okay.
And there needs to be a movement to raise awareness for this ballot initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm heading it as the Enlightened Centrist Coalition.
Yeah.
I keep you in one room and the progressives in another room. But
yeah,
we're all aligned. It's just one ballot initiative. It's a one and done task force. So that's it.
No.
You wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't work with them, no. Because there's never anything you'll do with progressives that doesn't have a catch. Ever. Now, if I was in government itself and I'm elected now in a democratic manner as a democratic representative, that's actually the job they're putting me to do, is to work with the other side to pass resource legislation. That's what the whole fucking point of that would be. It would be the distribution of resource legislation. So it's the idea of allocation of resource in law, right? That's it. That's the whole point. So it's like, that's a different position that you would be in there, which why I wouldn't want to run for fucking government or office either, right? I'd much rather be in the background, but no, I still would not want to work with progressives on even a single ballot initiative. They're fucking
This is
evil,
so unfortunate.
bro. They're
This is so
fucking
unfortunate.
evil, dude.
What happened to evil has no ontology?
They have ontology. Those people have ontology.
Interesting.
And that their ontology is to remove themselves from the energies of God because they're fucking evil. Okay? They're fucking evil bastards.
Well, I'm trying to think, Andrew, how can I productively, you know, well then, okay. So why don't you think I'm making a mistake by, being friends with?
I told
these
you,
people?
because they're going to stab you in the back, and that's the only way you're going to learn what they are.
Interesting. Are you ever going to stab me in the back?
Nope. And you believe me too, don't you? That's what's so funny, right? Is that you 100% believe me. And doesn't that piss you off? That like when I say that to you, you 100% believe me. But I got to feel that if any of these progressives said that, you wouldn't fucking believe a one of them.
Well,
that's
time
what's
will
so
tell,
funny,
Andrew.
isn't
Only
it?
time will tell.
Well, let me
Only
ask
time
you
will
this.
tell.
When I say that, do you believe me?
Unfortunately,
Yeah, see?
I think I do.
You see what I mean? That's what I mean. It's like maybe I'm an uncouth. Maybe I'm a little uncouth and a little I swear a little too much, blah 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 blah. Right? But in the end, Andrew, you're gonna stab me in the back. I say no. You're like, I believe him. So it's like, well, I guess when you take the goods with the bads, you can take the goods all the way home to the bank, right? So just saying.
All right, last question. How much money did you donate to Shiloh Hendrix's GoFundMe?